it incredible?
He was completely
the
unaware.
tiniest amount of research
Out
possible.
kick descended like a sports science.
The players will have a lift and a short recovery thing, so there'll probably be a decent break between the two coaches. And
But to,
start with
to
Coach
pull,
Thomas, though.
pull up 3 years despite that is impressive.
That's amazing.
What's up, guys? How are you all? Good to see you. Hopefully good summers. A lot of work, some suntans. Let's do it.
I'm sure you want everybody to grow, Coach, but at the same time, there's an assessment and an urgency and a timeline on that. What's maybe your time frame for charting their growth and making decisions about who's where?
Yeah, I would say every day is a measurement. I wouldn't necessarily give you a timeline, but every day we're definitely measuring, trying to get those quantitative measures, whether it be completion percentage, mental errors, low, so forth, at every position. So, we're in the early processes of that as far as final decisions, but every day is definitely a measurement, and we're trying to, touch all those details as we go.
You mentioned completion percentage and mental errors. What other criteria do you look at most closely when you're making
I think those are the big ones with the quarterback specifically. We're talking about ball security. That's a huge component as far as what we're trying to get done. We're talking about execution, right? Physicality. Those are all things that we're talking about. But, you're talking about with the quarterback specifically, the execution, right? That's the guy that's hopefully going to be out on the field. It's going to give us a chance to execute and make plays with the component of ball security.
How does this time of year differ for you coming back in August because you had the period of acclimation in the spring? Because it was new to you then, not new to you now. So what does that allow you to do different with these guys?
Yeah, I think the more longevity and more continuity you have, you're more in a macro level, right? A macro versus micro, right? You're in macro, meaning big picture, playbook drawings. You're really talking the big picture, whereas we've had that in the spring. Even the young guys coming in had that, hey, here are the playbook drawings. Now, the further we get, because this is the third install that they've had with similar schemes, if you will. So now we're really trying to get into the details of whether it be footwork, decision-making, checks, the variations upon a playbook drawing per se.
What about Dylan? I mean, where have you seen him make his biggest jump just from having your first look at him in January to now here in August?
Yeah, and to be expected, probably with all quarterbacks, there's just a comfort level as far as whether it be the play call that's given in, the coverage that they're seeing. I think the more reps and experience that you get, there's that comfort level that continues to grow, right? So, whether it be pocket presence, hey, we drop back, they bring a blitz, you're calm and poised in the pocket and make the right decision. So I think that's probably the good thing that I've seen or positive that I've seen, from the spring. It's kind of a big picture, a lot of moving parts. Introduction of playbook, introduction of defense. Obviously, Tony does a great job schematically with some exotic looks. So the experience, the meeting rooms, as we talk through it in the decision-making process, I think there's a comfort level that continues to improve.
At Big Ten Media Days, Coach Rule spoke a lot about eliminating turnovers, being a big goal for the offense. I mean, is there anything you're coaching with these guys specifically to achieve that goal?
Well, there's obviously the physical component of handling the ball, whether it be quarterback center, snap gun, snaps from gun, et cetera. But I think there's a component of just decision-making in general, right? Are we making risky decisions as far as trying to put the ball in tight windows versus checking the ball down? So I think there's a couple of, pillars that you can address to try to improve that. So, again, a daily measurement we're working through and trying to get better at.
Guys that have strong arms, and you have a couple who really do. How do you balance between don't make a risky decision but also letting them have their stinger and make sure they're making throws they believe they can make?
Yeah, I think there is a fine line to that. I think there's a science, and you definitely don't want to take, as you say, take their stinger away. But we do have some guys that do have, arm talent for sure and can get down the field. I think there is a component of take what the defense is giving you too, right? Like, hey, they're playing cover 2, there's a drop 8, there's guys way back there. Obviously, we're not going to force the ball down the field, so that's not a time to do that. If they're allowing you or giving you a look to maybe do something aggressive down the field, then definitely we want to do it, shoot, say they give us man coverage one time a game, well, shoot, we don't want to miss that one chance to be aggressive in man coverage.
You have 5 or all 6 of your quarterbacks on the 120?
5. Yeah, 5. Yeah.
What's there's a guy we heard about a little bit over the summer, Jalen Gramstad. Can you go into that process of seeing him, maybe being surprised that day, and just what he can add to your group?
Yeah, I think as much as anything, it's just the experience in the room. You know, he's obviously had success at his other stop, and that success gives him credibility in our room and that experience. So, you know, he's got a great personality, great character. He's humble. You know, he just wants to fit in and help in any way he can. You know, he wants to be a coach, so he kind of has that unique perspective of learning the big picture, which I really appreciate. You know, Garrett McGuire was kind of like that when I coached him at Baylor. Man, he was a awesome asset to me as far as that perspective of helping the quarterback, maybe a little different voice. So you love those the quarterbacks, you know, that want to be coaches and give that unique perspective. So it's really nice. And then from a skill set standpoint, he's got really nice arm talent. He's athletic with his feet, can make some plays off schedule, you know, whether it be run game or pass game. So I think he brings a nice skill set to us even on the field, for sure.
Coach, what have the conversations kind of been like with Dylan about just sort of handling the moment as a freshman, the national attention and soaking that all in, but also still being a freshman in college and being a football player?
Yeah, I think that's a conversation you have with everybody, really, right? I mean, when you get to this level, you know, there's a lot of eyes on you and a lot of voices. So, but at the end of the day, we can control what we can control, and it's just talking about the preparation day to day. And once the ball's snapped, then we make a right decision, and all that stuff that's outside really has no factor in what we're trying to get done. So the emphasis is, you know, make sure we're on the same page. We're trying to get done from a coaching standpoint to a performance standpoint, and then, you know, God's ability will let you do the rest.
And coming back from the NFL, how is the process of installing headset communication with your QBs?
Very similar. Yeah, very similar. You know, and even in the NFL, shoot, a lot of these NFL teams, they're on wristbands anyway, you know, so all of a sudden you go, hey, you push the button and it's wristband 3. You know, sometimes that's even all the communication there is even in the NFL, right? So we have a little bit of, there's some simple, you know, communication, and then, you know, it's really cool when in situational stuff, hey, this is 4 downs, or hey, this is this protection, or hey, be ready for this, alert this, you know. So there's these little coaching points, you know, and I think Sat talked to you guys about it. I think there is a fine line of too much communication. You know, I remember one time when I was in Atlanta, I was talking to Matt, and I probably gave him too much stuff, and he came back and let me hear about it, right? So, and I respect that. I mean, please give us that feedback, but we want to kind of balance that as far as coaching points, whether it be too much or too little.
What have you learned about Heinrich Arbor in your time around him?
Just a competitor, character, humility, work ethic, wants to do it right, just everything you're looking for, really. I've been really, really impressed on a lot of levels with him. He's been nothing but a huge part of our room, again, both on and off the field. So excited to see that growth continue, you know, as we get further into camp.
What kind of improvements have you seen guys make just in the summer, the work that they put in from how you evaluated them in the spring?
Yeah, like I say, this is kind of their third install, if you will, as far as the system, and really that second install, a lot of it was on them. They kind of installed it themselves. So, you know, as that install continues to go, the more comfortable you are. But just the leadership, you know, even with the young quarterbacks, as far as them leading a practice on their own is encouraging, right? So a lot of times you don't see that, and then the receptive, you know, the team being receptive to that. So that was kind of cool to see, and I think we got a lot of work and a lot of production in those few weeks.
Quarterbacks want to work with guys outside of the system you guys have here. What sort of, you know, guidelines do you have for how they pick that, and what you are comfortable with them doing, and then maybe things that you would prefer or things that you guys just taught them?
You're saying like at another facility or outside coach? Shoot, I mean, really, at the end of the day, you know, we want to teach what we teach, and you know, and I've been around some good and some bad. I feel, you know, convicted in some things that I want to try to get done. But anytime I feel like anybody's working on their craft, they're getting better. You know, so I think, you know, particularly in the quarterback world, everybody kind of has a guy, particularly in the summer, or whatever the case may be, they go out and work out with some other folks. And I think that's fantastic, because really at the end of the day, you're working on your craft. You're trying to perfect your craft. So I appreciate that extra effort. And then we kind of get back into training camp, then we'll kind of streamline on what we're trying to get done.
Over the course of your career, have you ever had a quarterback come back and you're like, I have to actually tweak that because that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, I think so. And again, shame on me if they feel more comfortable to do it the right way, and I'm like, no, we want to do this. If you feel more comfortable with this, and we feel like this can work, whether it be from a timing standpoint or mechanic standpoint, then hey, let's take a look at it and talk about it at the very least.
Speak on just the upgrades at receiver you made. I mean, you probably watched all the film last year and the injuries they dealt with I mean, how confident are you with this new group of receivers your quarterbacks are throwing to?
Yeah, I think probably more important than I'm confident, I think the quarterbacks are confident. You know, I think there's a nice group of, particularly even with depth at all positions. So I think that's what I'm excited about more than anything is our quarterbacks are confident in the guys that they have out there, whether it be a one-on-one matchup or maybe the number 2 receiver here. I don't think there's any hesitation to, hey, let's go let that guy make a play.
What do you, when you, the offensive coordinator portion of your role, when you think about sort of the global structure of what's going on, what do you like about the offense right now? Like, what impresses you about it?
I like just the multiplicity of it, right, and the open-ended of it. I don't think, even like schematically, people, you know, there's schemes everywhere, right? And the longer you're in this profession, I have playbooks for however many feet tall through the years, right? So I don't think it's a scheme so much, but I think it's the availability to get to different schemes and also playing into the strengths of your players. So whether it be checks into good or bad plays, or, this guy might not necessarily be this good at this route, let's work him with this route, or let's play this receiver at this position. I think it's more that, and then the flexibility for us to be able to get to that, whether it be wide sets, bunch sets, schematically, we have a lot of flexibility that way.
It's part of the 120, right?
He is, yep.
Just the specific leadership and I guess poise that Dylan's shown so far.
Yeah, I think it's probably twofold, right? There's a mannerism and there's an aura about it. I think that's important. We talk about that because people feed off of that aura, but I think there's a confidence that you hear in tone of voice and being vocal and, hey, somebody runs the wrong route, you let them know, or just the confidence of maybe a protection call or, hey, let's challenge Ben Scott on a call. Hey, this is what I see. I want to do this, right? And the conviction of making those calls, that only comes with confidence. So if you're second guessing yourself, everybody else is going to, feel that. So the more and more that we're in this, the more and more reps that we get, you feel that confidence with all the players. I would say all quarterbacks, and then all the other guys, if you will follow that lead because of that confidence.
Can you teach that, or is that just something somebody has in when you get them?
Probably a little of both, I would say, probably a little of both, but I definitely think there's an element of teaching to it, and I think that comes a lot in the meeting room, because if they understand what you're teaching in the meeting room and they really grasp that, I think they can really speak in confidence, right? And they can feel that confidence when they make a check or make a call, as opposed to kind of, tippy-toeing up to a call.
Who's your fifth quarterback then in camp? You mentioned the 4 already. Who'd be your 5th guy?
Bodie.
Bodie, okay.
Bodie, yep. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
No, Longville. Hey, Donnie, how has Corcoran come back just from the injury, and what have you seen from him early on in camp?
The more you're around him, I mean, he's just an unbelievable teammate. Understanding what he's coming back to, right? Him and Teddy are competing for that spot, and they work together every day. It's like they're best of friends. Usually you compete and you're like, trying to, I don't know, but those guys, they work together every day, and they push each other and help each other, right? It's not like, and he just attacks everything. His mindset since I got here, has been unbelievable.
How do guys like that, Turner and Teddy, handle their rehab in the off season, and how did they kind of stay? We've heard it from a lot of injured players. They still felt part of the team. How did they kind of continue to be part of the team while they were rehabbing?
Oh yeah, it's open dialogue for us. I push them to help each other, coach each other up in the meetings. I don't care if they speak up. I love that, and it just helps each other build the brotherhood even tighter and tighter. So everybody's coaching everybody. It's just not one voice. And I think that helps the room grow and grow and grow. So.
Hey, Coach, this is your third fall camp at Nebraska. How have you think you've changed since when you first got here to right now?
Just experience,
From a physical development standpoint, I mean, what did you think of the work your guys did over the off season with Coach Campbell in the strength room?
They did a great job.
Are they where you want them to be at physically?
Oh, absolutely.
Coach, how have you seen Dylan kind of get the hang of living out here and getting comfortable in this program?
Dylan, he's done a great job. He's, he's just one of the guys. He's just working to improve every day, holds himself to a high standard, and like what he says is really who he is. He loves it.
When did you know, kind of growing up around Dylan, when did you know that he could be doing what he's doing?
When he was 2 years old.
Why then?
It was funny, got back home from one of Dom's games and Sunday Night Football was on. He could hardly say mom and dad, and we're watching, the Patriots were playing, and he's sitting there jumping around the couch, and he looks up, he's like, Tom Brady. I was like, what? It was kind of unique. I was like, wait, hold on, that's crazy. How do you know who Tom Brady is, But that was pretty cool.
Hey, Coach, what's it been like seeing Preston Talmua come over? What have the initial reactions been with him?
It's awesome, man. It's always good to have people from your homeland with you. And it's just a work in progress like everybody else, and he's working hard at it. He takes a lot of pride in who he is and where he's from and his culture, and that's just how Polynesians are, right? So, it's fun being around a guy like that.
When you were recruiting him, what kind of stood out the most with him?
Just his humble confidence, knowing, being from there, right, understanding the culture. You watch him play, and there's a natural toughness, but he doesn't come off like that, right? So humble and quiet and respectful, and it's a day-by-day improvement, right? And just really focusing on one thing at a time, improvement, and one better.
This stage of the game, how far along is Gibson Pyle? Just knowing he played a high level in Texas, got here early. Where's he at, kind of in the conversation?
Gibby and Brooks have been very impressive. From the time they got here, just the work that they've put in, and you've seen a huge growth from their first day here, spring ball, to now. So it's super exciting.
Where has Micah Mizuka come along the most since he's been here?
Micah's done a great job, just becoming just part of the brotherhood, right? It's hard, right? You come from somewhere else, you're around different people, but just being one of the guys and just improving every day, everything.
How do you coach this group, Donovan, considering some of the guys you have played a lot of football, and you have some of these new guys like Pyle and Brooks, like you just mentioned. So how do you individually, manage a group that has such a range in experience and age?
The standard is the standard, right? It don't change. It could be Ben one day, it could be Jake Peters the next day. But if you're not up to the standard, everybody's gonna get coached the same. But it's fun, having older guys helping the younger guys, and that's what the best part about it is, just the brotherhood in the room, and it spreads out to the team. And I've been around a group like this before, and it's just exciting.
Anything else from Don? Good.
Thanks, Donnie.
Thank you.
Makeshift.
All right, go ahead with questions, guys, ladies.
What was this off season like for you? What did you work on this off season?
Yeah, I think it was kind of new, like being able to like know Coach Rule's standards and like what he wants us to do every day, and being able to be a part in leading that. So that was a new experience for me. You know, being the older guy in the quarterback room, that comes with responsibilities. So tried to help everyone, and especially these young quarterbacks.
You were on the league list almost every week this off season. What went into that for you to being on that list every week?
I think it's, I mean, I don't know, I kind of give, when, you know, people ask me about that, I give a lot of that credit to my dad and my mom. Like, that's just kind of the way that they raised me, and I fought back a lot when I was a child, and, you know, they corrected, they were hard on me, and I kind of just learned standards with how you do everything. And so, yeah, like some of the stuff may have been new, but I mean, it's the same principles.
Do you feel you've come along, advanced as a quarterback since, I mean, you can go all the way back to January, but more specifically since the spring game?
Yeah, I mean, it's the things that you know, last season that I was talking about that I really wanted to improve during the season, but you know, didn't have the time. Some of the things I was working on took a good amount of time, so just tried to focus on those. You know, accuracy, and then also, I mean, there's no limit to the mastery of the offense. Like continuing to know it inside and out. So those are things that, you know, that you can't snap your fingers and correct. And I think those were some of the glaring things that I had to take care of after last season.
I think in the spring you had mentioned some of the specific areas where maybe your throwing mechanics or footwork. I mean, did you achieve what you wanted to in those specific areas?
I worked hard at them. I don't know if I'll ever achieve, you know, perfection. I don't think anyone ever will. So that's what I'm always striving for. But I think I made a lot of improvement in those areas. So, but I mean, I'm still working every day. You know, before practice. You know, once you get into practice, you can't think about that stuff. And so that was part of the issue. Not issue, but one of the hard things last year was it was all practice, and like that's all we had time really for. So I couldn't, you know, devote a lot of time to that sort of stuff. But with this off season and you know, fall camp, there's time before practice and after practice to, you know, maybe work on some of that stuff. So just a little bit here and there to work on that.
Did you go off campus and work with you work with Christensen, with Jeff Christensen?
I did.
Yeah. So what did you see him this summer, and what's the focus of that when you guys get together?
Yeah. So I mean, I started going down there, and he came up here one time, and starting December, and a lot of that's just pure mechanics. I mean, there's nothing else to it. So I mean, that's really the base of it. I went down there a couple times this summer, in the spring a little bit too. So, yeah.
Broadly speaking, how is the offense different from last year?
I think there's a new, not a new. Obviously, I mean, we had a good amount of seniors graduate last year, but I think there's an emergence of leadership from some new guys and some younger guys too that you know, they've all of a sudden have they've taken upon themselves, rightly so, to uphold the standard. And so I think those guys, as they continue to do that, it'll only help us.
Where's the comfort level in a year or two now for this team in fall camp, just kind of knowing the ropes a little bit better as far as how Matt Rule does things?
Yeah, I mean, I think going off what you said, like Coach Rule, like his standards and everything, and how he structures, like, I mean, a lot of the older guys from last year, like we know, like if you go hard, like he'll he'll rest you. Like, he's not going to run you till you die. But he expects a certain level of work. And if you don't meet that level of work, then he'll just make you do it over again. And so I think as we try, some of the older guys, as we try to convey that to the younger guys, and I don't know if sometimes if it gets across until they experience it. Like, okay, if I go really hard like this day, then we may have tomorrow off, or not off, but limited. And so I think as older guys try to convey that, I think the younger guys are starting to understand that.
How has Jalen made your quarterback play better?
He, I mean, haven't gotten to know Jalen really well yet, but he does kind of bring a sense of comfort, I guess. It kind of feels like he just kind of completes the circle. You know, I don't know if I wouldn't say there was a gap before Jalen, but it was, you know, it did kind of feel just a little weird for me. I mean, I've been here a long time, and, you know, all these guys just came in. And, you know, they're high school, and they have a lot of experience. They know the game well, but there is a certain level of how long have you been in college and seen all of this and know what college is like. And so, like, today, like, Jalen, even though he came in the summer, like, he's one of those guys that started upholding the standard, like, right away, because he knows what it takes in college to continue to get better.
When we were talking to your teammates earlier this week, Teddy Prohaska, when he described you, he said, he's just a carny boy. What do you think he meant by that?
I don't know. Teddy likes to stereotype me into like a farmer, even though I don't know where he gets that from. I guess he played Kearney High a lot, and I don't know. I guess I didn't hang around the Kearney High guys a whole lot, so I don't know exactly what they were like. But I think he kind of groups me into that, and I mean, I don't know.
Do you have a farming background?
Well, I do, but I didn't grow up like in a combine. So, I mean, my dad owns a ag equipment manufacturing company. The Harburgs have been farming since 1860 in Nebraska. My mom's side's a ranch family, so I mean there is some of that, but I mean I didn't grow up on a farm. I grew up on a small acreage outside of Kearney, so I don't know.
Hey, how many hours a week do you spend on this? Just like, how many hours are you putting in every day into being the starting quarterback in Nebraska and battling for that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a good balance. I know me personally, I like to take a couple hours at night to go and reset. I think that's really important. I think for anyone who does it. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know if it's humanly possible to spend, you know, if you're waking, what would it be, like 17 hours to spend 16 hours on that? I don't know if that's possible. But I think even when I am home, not in the facility, and you know, maybe I'm just watching TV. I mean, there's just some like you still have to think about that stuff. And you just, you know, a lot of it for me is sitting down, meditating, and praying. And so that's part of it. But, I mean, I wouldn't know what to tell you on how to guess on how many hours a day. But I think Danny, Dylan, I think those guys are doing the same thing. I mean, we all put a lot of time and hours into it. And hopefully, really all I think we want is for our work to reflect in this season, just because we all know how hard we've worked and how many hours we have put in. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There's nothing wrong with you.
All right, questions?
this off season like for you, and what did you work on before we got into training camp?
Yeah, I mean, like the off season as a whole or the summer?
Summer.
Yeah, the summer I think was really important, just to keep continuing to build chemistry. I think with like the receiver core, just the more reps that we could get in, like I said, continue to build chemistry and work on kind of the smaller things of mechanics and plays. And yeah, I just think the more reps from this summer just really helped, and you can already see it translating onto the field.
Daniel, what about just from a strength and conditioning and even a nutrition standpoint? What gains did you make just over the last 9 months?
Yeah, that's been one of the kind of best things to see, just how much weight I've gained. I came in around 200, and I'm floating kind of around 220 now. So just done a good job of obviously put on the right weight, getting stronger in the weight room, and Coach Campbell does a really good job of that, and Christian does a really good job of getting us the right food to do that. But yeah, that's been cool to see. And at the same time, not getting slower. Like I said, put on the right weight. But yeah, I've gained about like 20 pounds.
How was that new training table?
Oh yeah, the new training table was crazy. It's really nice. Like the first meal, some of us came in and we're like, "Is it gonna be like this every single time?" They're like, "Yeah." Like it's really good food. If you go in there and don't find something you want to eat, then I don't know what you're ever gonna eat.
What's the best stuff so far?
The first meal we had this really good salmon with like a glaze. I don't know. It was really good. It's all been good though. It's been great. So.
Is that 220? I mean, that weight, does it help you drive the ball down the field? Do you notice it in the way you throw?
I would say so. I think both the weight and just the strength that I've kind of gained over the last couple of months has helped that. But I feel like I have definitely noticed that. Continuing to kind of grow in my arm strength and kind of being able to keep the same mechanics, but also get bigger and stronger has definitely helped.
I know it's a little early, but what have you seen from Jalen, and how does he make your quarterback room better?
Yeah, Jalen's awesome. First of all, he's just a really good dude. Really good to kind of get to know him over the last couple of weeks. But really can throw the ball. He's really talented. Moves kind of better than what you would think. So, and I think the bottom line is just his experience. It's been kind of cool to see the way that he's gone about learning a new playbook. I feel like I've kind of been learning some stuff from him, and it's been kind of cool to see that. But he's a great dude, great addition to the room for sure.
You played with his cousin Ducker, right?
Yeah, he told me that. He said he's cousin with them, which I didn't expect. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Danny, as somebody who came into this program as a quarterback who got plenty of training outside of the high school world before you got to college, how do you think young quarterbacks in general, yourself and Dylan included, are more equipped to walk into a college situation? The things that are asked of you as a college quarterback than kids who did this a few years ago without that kind of that advantage.
Yeah, I think just as you've seen like the landscape of QB coaches continue to grow, I just think there's more options for people, really wherever you're at in the country. So, but a lot of the times those coaches are guys that have played, that have coached. So I just think the more you see that grow, the better, just the talent from lower levels and up will just continue to be. And like you said, kind of helps you get equipped with some more skills, I guess, or kind of some more insights to help translate to higher levels quicker for guys that are coming up.
You started doing quarterback-specific training at what age?
I think I started, it was like summer or spring of 6th grade going into 7th grade is when I kind of started really playing quarterback.
Danny, how would you describe the QB play 3 days into fall camp?
Yeah, I just think something we've really focused on is just execution. And I think from the start of spring, obviously, 2 guys that were pretty young that hadn't played a lot, and now it's just a whole different level, just based on the experience that some of us have gotten, especially obviously me and Dylan being freshmen over the spring, so and into the summer. So I just think it's been kind of a quicker start to the fall so far, and I think that's just a product of the reps that we've been able to get.
How does Dylan and Heinrich and just the whole room, how do they make you better?
I just think there's a lot of talent, and at the same time, Heinrich's got experience. There's just a lot of different kind of ways that we all push each other. We all have different kind of skill sets in some ways, but I just think overall, all of us are really talented, and we all want to be great, and we approach everything that we do like that, whether it's meetings, on the field, at practice. So I think that's always just going to help elevate our play and push each other.
Where do you think you've developed most over the past 8 months since you got here in January?
Yeah, I'd say hands down just overall game knowledge. I think, I've said in the past, Coach Thomas has done a great job of teaching us, and just the reps that I've been able to get against a defense that you always don't know what they're running. You know, they're rotating and giving us a lot of different looks. So I just think whether it be film, reps, things like that, just grown a lot from just basic type of coverage knowledge to knowing a lot more and knowing where to go and having different, you know, places to go on different plays based on the coverage. So I think I've grown a lot in that avenue.
Hey Danny, have any of the receivers stood out to you through 3 practices so far?
I would say just overall the group's been doing really well. Throwing in the tight ends included, I just think we have a lot of guys that are going to be able to make a lot of plays, and they do that consistently. And Coach McGuire does a great job of preparing them. You know, whether it be different checks and stuff, they're really on top of their stuff, and it's been good to see.
You've had a longer relationship with Carter Nelson. What have you seen from him as he kind of, I don't know if it's a move, but as he plays more slot, more receiver, how does he fit in that spot?
Yeah, honestly, it surprised me, honestly, how smooth and well he's translated. You know, his background of not playing 11-man football, whether how much that's really going to affect him, I don't think it will. But definitely someone that, you know, in pads, passes the eye test, moves really well for his size. But I don't think he's really having any issue as far as translating. It's just continuing to get reps and knowing the plays, but obviously really talented for sure.
You'll have a bunch of fans that practice Saturday tomorrow. How excited are the guys just to maybe try to put on a show for the fans that are coming out to support the NIL and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, really cool thing going. It's almost like it's a normal practice, but kind of like a spring game type of thing, like having the fans come out and support us. We always love that. But yeah, there's definitely guys talking about it. We're excited for sure. You know, can't let it, you know, affect too much, but definitely would like, you know, to put a good product on the field for the fans.
How much were you able to do with some older teammates in terms of going out with the O-line or throwing with receivers kind of on your own in the offseason?
I think especially this summer, there's been a lot of stuff like that. Whether it be certain guys, you know, hanging out at the house, you know, playing card games or whatnot, or playing golf with different people. I don't think it's necessarily been a certain group. It's really been a good mix of, you're getting to know more people on the team and kind of just continuing to build that team chemistry on and off the field. But the summer was definitely great for that when you have extra time to go do those things.
What's the dorm life been like for the first few days of camp for you?
Yeah, I have no complaints. A lot of guys kind of complain about it going in and say it's bad, but I mean, the AC's been really cold. I've said that, and it's been helping to sleep, but no, it's been good. Kind of brings the guys together, been able to kind of meet up with guys too to go over plays, you know, at the end of the day and stuff like that. So I have no complaints. It's been good. It's been fun. So. Ramir Johnson.
All good? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Dylan?
So,
All right, questions? How cool was that whole deal earlier this week with Tyreek Hill and Mahomes and all those guys on Twitter? How'd that make you feel?
it was funny. I'm not on social media, so I mean, it was my teammates showing me, and we were at the training table, and it popped up on ESPN. But it's pretty cool to be preceded by a guy like Mahomes. I mean, probably going to go down as one of the greats. So it's cool. But, you know, honestly, our focus right now is to, you know, work on our team and keep getting better in camp. So, you know, I don't want to get distracted from what we're here to do.
Yeah, with all that outside noise and attention, how do you keep yourself centered and grounded?
Yeah, well, first my faith. You know, I wake up every morning, get in my devotion, and, you know, you just set your day off right. And, you know, you protect yourself from the world. And then I have great parents that have raised me correctly and just, you know, have taught me the way of, you know, how to act and how to be around people and keep the distractions out. And, you know, to have an uncle and, you know, my sister now working here, to have family in the building is also, you know, a very comforting feeling to have, you know, them alongside.
In terms of your on-field progress, I mean, how have you felt going into the fall? Was it different for you than going into the spring when everything was maybe a little bit newer?
Absolutely. I mean, the spring was kind of just everything brand new. And then, now having, a full spring under you, a full summer under you, you go into camp, you feel a lot more confident. I think our whole room has felt more confident. Danny, Heinrich, Jalen, Bodie, all the guys that, have been preparing and getting ready for this. So, yeah, we've been preparing a lot better, and, it makes it easier for us.
Go ahead. What have the coaches talked to you about, not just you, but all the quarterbacks, about limiting turnovers and not making bad decisions that put the ball at risk?
I mean, that's our focus from January, honestly. You can't win games if you turn the ball over, and I think, a lot of people have been through that and seen it. So, the new guys just know that we're not going to turn the ball over, and, we're going to put points up on the board.
On the flip side of the coin, I mean, you've got a strong arm. You know what you can do with it. So how do you walk that line between making a throw that maybe not many people can make, but you can, but also not putting the ball at risk? Like, how do you figure out when you're going to try to make a play and when you're going to just check it down?
I think that's something that's like a gut feeling, honestly, or a situational feeling. It just depends what, you got to have confidence to throw those throws, but you also have to know the situation and what you're trying to accomplish in that play, in the situation of the game. So it's being aggressive and cutting it loose, but it's also being smart and, understanding the situation of the game.
Where do you think your game has gotten better since you arrived here, the last 8 months?
I think I've grown a lot in protections, with my uncle. I mean, he works with all the quarterbacks, but, just getting a little extra with him on protections. I also think, Coach Thomas has made a big, turnovers. We're trying to eliminate all the turnovers and make every routine play that we can have, make it routine. And if we can do that, put ourselves in a position to win every football game this year, that's what people came here to do at Nebraska.
How have you been in that regard, limiting turnovers, just you personally?
I mean, I feel like I've done a good job of it. Never want to say a great job because there's always something that happens, whether it's a tip ball, like how can I figure out how to get the ball lower so he can catch it. Center quarterback exchange every day that's a focal point. I mean, if we want to run the ball and do all those things, we got to be able to secure snaps in the center, catch snaps in the gun, and so yeah, I think as a unit we've done a great job of turnovers. Personally, I think I've done a good job. Yeah.
What are your feelings early here in camp about the receivers that you're working with and the tight ends too, the guys you're going to be throwing the ball to?
Yeah, I think we have a special core, a special group. It's on a foundation of trust and work. We came in January not really knowing what the room was going to look like. Obviously adding Jamal and Isaiah, but you add and you put a lot of new guys in the room together. It doesn't really matter how much talent. You got to come together and you got to work. So I'm really confident where we're at right now as a group. Tight ends have done a great job, not only catching the ball, but they understand they got to block and do those kind of things, and getting our backs more involved has been good. They not only run the ball, but they're threats to catch the ball. So we've developed a bunch of trust and a bunch of work. So it's been exciting.
I know it's early, but what has Jalen added to your room since?
Jalen, the one thing that comes to mind is speed. Jalen Gramstad?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. First off, he comes in the room. He's a great person. You see him, and he's always got a smile on his face. I don't think he has 1 ounce of sad or whatever in him. He's just been a joy to be around in the room and great addition. On the football side, he's played a lot of football, so learning from him, learning from his experiences, no matter where he played in college and player of the year and all that. So it'd be not smart of me and the rest of our room not to learn from him. So it's just been a great addition, and he's been awesome to be around.
Dylan, when you were growing up, did you kind of want to be just like Mahomes, kind of how you played and the equipment and all that kind of stuff?
Not really. I think a lot of people think I try to be just like him, but honestly, I grew up, I played baseball, never liked football. As a kid, I always wore glasses. I've had this haircut since 6th, 7th grade maybe, and I didn't really know about Mahomes then. And I mean, I had my own little kick to it. So, I mean, it's not completely like him, but I guess if that's what people want to say, I mean, that guy's one of the best, so it's cool. But I just try to do mimic my game after, myself. But it also, if you're trying to get to where you want to get to, you have to see and know what it takes to get there. And I think he's done more than enough to see what it takes. And it's just learning football. But yeah, just try to do my thing, and hair, I guess, looks like it.
You were number 15 because of him, or is there some other significance behind that?
No, I wore 15 when I was my first year of football. Tim Tebow. Strong Christian person, played football, in Florida, and I look up to people that have good character and are good at their good person, and he was that guy at the time. I kind of went away from it. I went to 1, and then it felt better to be in 15. Honestly, at Buford, a funny story, KJ Bolden wore number 1, and when I transferred there, we were trying to work something out, like, can I get 1, and whatever, and then it kind of just worked out to be 15, and as I started wearing it, it just, I felt like it fitted me, and I mean, it's a cool number, I think.
Have you and Malachi figured out what you're going to do with you both?
We haven't had our single digit whatever, so that's his plan, but I mean, we'll figure that out when time comes, but yeah, we haven't figured it out yet.
Hey Dylan, Glenn Thomas was up here, and I'm pretty sure he said that, you're not afraid to go up to a receiver if he runs a wrong route and tell him and correct him. Same thing with a protection call with Ben Scott, who's a lot older than you. Is that easy for you, or is that, can you just talk about the development of you wanting things to be right out there, even if it's coming for a guy that's maybe older than you and more experienced?
Yeah, I think, that comes honestly from mat drills and those things, like earning their trust, working hard, and, you can't, if I just walked in here day 1 and ripped them and whatever, there would be nothing would happen, right? So it just came from, working hard together, going through the hard stuff, and now that, kind of have their trust, it's like, okay, he's not getting on me just to get on me, but, he fixes it and gets it right, we celebrate that. It's not just, I'm going to rip you, and there's no love being shown. Like, everybody knows in the building, if you get ripped, we're going to build you right back up. And if you correct it and make it right, we're going to celebrate that, because that's a big deal to us.
How do you manage the expectations going into
I don't really pay attention to expectations. I just focus on everything I can do in today and what I can control. I think our team is going to be really good this year, but we just got to keep working on getting better every day. I know it's cliche to say, but that's honestly our focal point. Like, we can't get to August 31st right now. Like, there's a process and there's steps that have to be taken, and so we're just super invested in that right now, and nothing's really going to screw us off of that.
What do you think about the competition? I mean, that's going to be what the outside is looking at. Like, people want to know who's going to start. Is that present in your mind?
No, I think every day is just go out and compete. Our room has grown and since the spring, and we've gotten closer than we've ever been. So, obviously, everyone on the team knows it's a competition, and if you came and watched practice, it's not like, okay, I'm hoping or Heinrich's hoping someone messes up. Like, we're helping each other. We're trying to get the team better before we put ourselves first. So, that's part of being a quarterback. You put your team before yourself. But, the time will come when it's time to name a starting quarterback. But as of right now, we're not. We're just worried about our team and what we can do to get better.
How do you like dorm life, and who's your roommate?
Dorm life's great. Everybody's around each other. My roommate's Elliot Brown. So having an older guy, he's seen everything, been through good, the bad, whatever. So it's been cool.
What have you seen out of the running back competition?
our backs go at it every day, not with each other, just, they're grinding, they're competing, and, I think they do a great job of handling the competition. I know they all have different traits that they're good at, so it's kind of just figuring out which one we want to, use in certain spots. So they've done a great job handling that, and they all look really good.
Does Gabe feel like, does he look kind of full speed?
Yeah, Gabe looks really good. He's back healthy. It's just good to see him out there.
What's it like having the family dynamic every day with your sister here and your uncle? I mean, you guys have some family moments with the three of you guys?
Yeah, it's cool to have. I think the spring game, the first touchdown I threw, I got to hug my uncle, probably one of the first people that was over there. So, it's giving me chills right now. But, just to have family here, growing up, that's all I had. That's all I ever knew. So, why change what I have? I have, an opportunity in front of me. Why, change what I have? So having him's great, but, like sister close to me, live together, and, her dog lives with us. It's special. Both my siblings, we have a special bond, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. So it's just comforting to, look to the sideline, see my uncle there. My sister comes to every practice. So, joke, nudge her, whatever, it's family. So it's very comforting.
Thank you.
Thank you.